Test 1, 2. Test, test.
The Board of Managers meeting at 1:12 p.m. I'd like to bring up Angela McDonald for our opening prayer, please.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Dear God, in everything we give thanks. Help us to continue leading JPS with integrity, kindness, and understanding. As we discuss various topics today, we pray that you will give us discernment and clarity of thought. In everything that we do and say, remind us of those that we serve, lead, and inspire. May our hearts be gratified as we start this meeting, and may it guide us throughout. Amen.
We'll stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll open today with any citizens wishing to address the board. I did not have any citizens today, so what I'd like to do is call up Rory for a brief conversation and recap of our public hearing.
Okay, good afternoon, guys. Sorry for the racket there. So we are here today to address a resolution on the local provider participation fund program. A little background on that. We use that term LPPF frequently, and you'll hear that acronym as we talk about this. It's a county administered fund that is utilized to help private hospitals access supplemental payments. So this is really separate and apart from our JPS supplemental funding, but it helps private hospitals accomplish that supplemental funding. It's authorized, as you can see, from Senate Bill 1462 and the Texas Health and Safety Code. The way this fund is created is through a 6% assessment of net revenues of these hospitals. In your packet, there's a list of those hospitals, and you can kind of see the assessment, and we collect that assessment as Tarrant County Hospital District over four assessment periods, quarters. And then we do what is called an IGT, and that stands for Intergovernmental Transfer. And this was approved by the JPS board, this original LPPF back in 2017. Private hospitals cannot perform this IGT on their own. That's why we do that. So they're not authorized to do that. So JPS provides that for them. So in doing this, the 6% of their net revenues that they put up, they would be eligible for federal matching funds. So those funds match with federal dollars and then come back and then are distributed back to the hospitals. So There's a resolution, as I mentioned. I'll take any questions, and if Daphne has anything she wants to add, we would need a motion. And
I can ask him questions, just want to provide the general background, and then hearing.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. So now that Rory's concluded on that, we'll look at item 4, which is our public hearing of the Board of Managers of Tarrant County Hospital District to consider the fiscal year 2025 provider participation program and other related matters. So A is our public hearing. And so what we'll do, we will now open our public hearing regarding the Tarrant County Hospital District Provider Participation Program to hear public comments and consider action concerning, 1, the amount of the mandatory provider participation payments that the board intends to require of all Tarrant County local hospitals for fiscal year 2025. And 2, how the revenue derived from those mandatory payments is to be spent. So I'll pause for any public comment. We don't have any citizens today. So since there are no citizens wishing to comment on these issues, we will now close our public hearing. So we'll now consider approval of the resolution to set the mandatory provider participation payments for fiscal year 2025 and determine how the revenue of those payments is to be spent under the Tarrant County Provider Participation Program. The resolution, 1, authorizes the collection of mandatory payment from each institutional healthcare provider located in the hospital district. 2, authorizes the use of funds collected through mandatory payments for the purposes specified in Chapter 298B, Texas Health and Safety Code, and C, and 3, sets the rate amount of the mandatory payments for fiscal year ending in 2025 at 6% of the net patient revenue of an institutional healthcare provider located in Tarrant County Hospital District's geographical jurisdictional area. Do I have a motion on the resolution? So moved.
Second.
Second. And then now I will now comments. Approved. Now,
A motion in a second.
yes, I have a motion and a second, and all approved?
Aye.
I approve. All right, motion passes. This is a secondary motion, right?
Correct.
Yeah, sorry. We had 2 motions today. I will now entertain a motion to authorize the president and CEO of the Tarrant County to make intergovernmental transfers from the local provider participation fund to the Texas Health and Human Services Commission for the purposes specified in Chapter 298B, Texas Health and Safety Code. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
So moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. All right, so I have a motion and a second. All in favor, approve?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Section 5 of the agenda. Okay, all right. So thank you so much for your participation within that resolution. That ended that public hearing. So now we'll go to regular business. So this is, can I get a motion for the approval of minutes?
Move.
Second. We got a motion approval. All in favor? Aye. Wonderful. Okay. All right. Thank you so much today. I'll move to board chair report. This month is Hispanic Heritage Month, so thank you to JPS for celebrating. We've seen some amazing videos and commentary and some fun activities that have been out into the community for all of our employees, as always. It's always fun to see that happen. Other secondary, we do have the JPS Foundation White Coat Gala, which is coming up on October 19th, and I believe at our last report there had, Shannon, correct me if I'm wrong, completely sold out. Sold out for our first day, but let's give a round of applause to the JPS Foundation. We're so excited to attend, and we hope that everyone will be able to join us during that evening. It promises to be fun and a great way to help support our organization. At that point in time, that's what I have right now. As always, thank you to all of our staff members, all of our frontline for all the work that they do throughout the hospital. at any point in time. That's what makes this hospital great. So I will conclude to our CEO.
Well, thank you, Chair Arizal. Yeah, I think there were 52 tables that we actually, 55, so she keeps expanding it every day. So we expect over 400 and some individuals to be there. It will be very experiential. It'll be a night that you guys will remember forever. So, yeah, this is exciting time for us. Okay. Okay, so let's get loud as we always do about the great work that's going on. Yes, yes.
Lost out now.
So we're going, I didn't have music for that one, but let me go back. Okay, so as we all know, and as the board has approved our strategic priorities, one is our workforce. And so we had opportunity to have a night at the ballpark with JPS employees. We had over 3,000 JPS employees who were there during that game. The Rangers did not win the game, though, but all of our T-shirts were there. As I was walking, coming down to the field, which was exciting. There was just so many individuals at that game that had JPS Health Network T-shirts on. You can see up there at the top one of our future healthcare workers, very serious about the game, but it was really a wonderful night. It did give us, if you look in the left lower corner there, the person you don't see is actually a patient who was treated here by our trauma team. So it was a night in which we honored the great work that our trauma services provide to the community. This patient reminds us that it is because of JPS, and he had a life-death situation in which he only had about a 1% survival rate when he came here. And our trauma team, as they always do, quickly began to work on him. He is now able to, as he reminds us, to be able to kiss his 3-year-old son. And so this was very moving moment on the field there as he joined JPS. On the right side there, I've not forgiven my team for asking the Rangers whether I could throw the ceremonial first pitch. Yes, that is me at the mound. Yeah.
Get it across the plate?
Very close to it, yeah. There is actually a film that actually shows it, yeah, but you can see he doesn't move. The catcher there doesn't move, okay? So, yeah, so anyway, it was a lot of fun, and so we look forward to continuing to have these kind of events. Okay, speaking of the JPS Foundation, I'm pleased to announce that 72% of the JPS Board of Managers have given to the foundation, and so that's great. 90% of the executive team members have given to the foundation, and much of this is at our hospital level, which means that every pay period we give an hour of our salary back to the foundation, and so that's really great. And 100% of the JPS Foundation board members have given to the foundation, so just really shows the support that all of us give to JPS and the great work that you do. So thanks to all of you. Last week, the JPS Foundation and our medical home True Worth, you guys had opportunity to hear Joel Hunt speak on the work that goes on out in our community of those experiencing homelessness. But we partnered out there with a lot of events that went on to provide mammograms, dental exams, behavioral health intake assessments, and that was for the women that are experiencing homelessness in that community. They received free dresses provided by J.C. Penney, and they were yellow dresses. So if you guys are out in the community and see a bunch of women in yellow, it is because J.C. Penney provided those dresses. Members of the executive team, you can see us pictured there, were present to serve lunch to the patients and the staff that were there. As a result, 180 women were served. We did 35 pap smears, 40 mammograms, 24 flu shots. 26 women enrolled in our Healthy Texas Women program, and then there were 17 completed lab draws that went on there. So thanks again to our team. While, with the month of October being National Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we would like to share the work of our oncology team and take this opportunity to hear the voice of one of our patients. And over this next year, you will see more and more of these stories of the impact of the work that our teams do here, that impact on our patients and on our community. So we will bring these stories to you. This is Faith Barber. She's a JPS patient. She has faced a fair share of adversity in her very young life. At only 18 years of age, she was diagnosed with a tumor that in her pituitary gland that secreted a hormone that actually came across as if she was pregnant. It's called a prolactinoma. For months, she sought to have to be heard about her symptoms and to be assessed. She was often told that she was just symptomatic from the tumor. And so she came to JPS. She was just touched by the fact that someone actually listened to her, and I want you to hear a little bit about her story here at JPS.
I was diagnosed my senior year in high school with a pituitary tumor called a prolactinoma, and I didn't know how bad it was. It was really scary. I got really tired all the time. It wasn't until I came here people actually took me seriously, and I have not steered away from JPS ever since. Luckily, I have a really good team here. Whenever I rung the bell, it was kind of a bittersweet moment. Before cancer, I was a very confused person because I've had all these issues. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what I wanted to do with life because I just was trying to survive it. And then having that realization like, oh, it's just begun, was really exciting but daunting because all I've ever known was I'm sick. I'm starting to drive, I'm getting a job, I'm doing things that I've wanted to do for so long. I spent my 20s, fighting cancer instead of living my life like everybody else. I've gotten a late start, but hey, I've started. It feels like, here recently we've been getting younger and younger diagnosis, and it's because awareness has been spread. We're getting more younger people diagnosed and less people that are getting diagnosed in their, let's say, 50, 40s with stage 4 because it's being talked about now, which is an amazing thing. That's what I want to be a part of.
So we are pleased to announce that Faith recently celebrated her 2-year anniversary being cancer-free. So again, great work that we're doing here. As we know, that prevention, early detection of breast cancer really does increase the rate of survival. And so during this month, we are doing a lot of outreach and offering that preventative measure. With that, Chairman Arizola, this concludes my CEO report.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Duncan. Okay, we'll move on to our medical executive staff. Dr. Casey?
Thank you. I have 2 items for approval today. The first is routine appointment of privileges and appointments numbers 1 through 88 in your packet.
Give people a moment. Do I have a motion for approval?
On the delineation of privileges for APPs in the emergency medicine, it was...
We're not on that one yet.
Oh, we're not there yet. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
Just on the staff appointments
Okay.
and privileges, we'll get to that one next.
Yeah. I know, sorry, I was ready.
Good, you're ready. I love it.
I move to approve medical staff appointments privileges.
Right, if I have approval, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, all right. All in favor? Aye. All right, motion passes. Dr.
Letter B for Dr. Holland is date of DOPs for APPs and then updates for hospital medicine and OBGYN physicians. The APP has been a collaborative work amongst all in the hospital across all the different departments to make them as egalitarian as possible pursuant to their training and experience. A lot of work has gone down to make those as equal as they can across all the different departments.
Yes, Dr. Holland?
Yeah, my only question is on the APP emergency medicine delineation of privileges. It was stricken out, perform sexual assault examinations. Can you explain why and who does those then if it's not the
Yeah, I think the SANE exams is now a required amount of training, like 40 hours of extra formal training has been done, different than 30 years ago when I was trained as a resident in a short period of time. Now it's a formal process. I think they removed it for that reason.
So you have dedicated practitioners who do those exams. It's not
SANE
just
nurses.
any.
The problem,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, all right.
Just making
That
sure.
was my question. Okay.
Let me take them. Okay, all right. Yes, Blake.
Can you explain under the hospital medicine what the highlighted sections are on page 34 of the handout?
Those are the core privileges with the expectation of all the training would be in that particular area, would be able to perform those. And then in the red, I think they have now designated other privileges that may be requested. And of course, they have to maintain, they have to prove that they have completed those either prior to initial application or on recredentialing over a 24-month period. And each amount of privilege to a certain amount of burden of numbers and expertise has to be proven. So,
What do the highlights mean? Some of them are highlighted and some of them are not in the core privileges.
I think those are another ones that were re-reviewed, but I'd have to
Okay.
verify it. Nothing's new.
Any other questions? All right, seeing no questions, move for approval?
So moved.
And we're getting all four.
Oh, four, I'm sorry.
at one time?
Yes, we're approving 1 through 4 at the same time. Tim, as your approval, the same.
Yeah, that's my motion for sure.
Second?
Second.
Second by Dorothy. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Thank you. We'll now move to committee reports. So Blake, with your governance report?
Thank you. I'm giving the Governance Committee report. The Governance Committee's main function at JPS is to assess and manage risk. One of the greatest risks and my highest concern is data security. And so Will Showalter did a nice presentation about some enhancements to our security procedures here at JPS. He first talked about the CrowdStrike outage that severely affected all the airlines a few months ago and other companies. And also in the airline world, ransomware hit SeaTac Airport, which is Seattle-Tacoma's main airport, and knocked them offline for a day. And then he talked about how we use Cisco Talos. Talos is Cisco's security division as our managed security services provider, which means they're sort of our eyes on our systems at all times. But we're enhancing, making that product more robust, and we'll now have the ability for our in-house team to participate and manage the security with Cisco Talos. And to give us unified detection and response across multiple layers. So it's going to be more of a layered security approach here at JPS. Colin Warinka, our Chief Compliance Officer, gave an overview of coding and billing, concentrating on 2 areas of coding and billing. He talked about short stay practices and then Medicare DRG groups involving over 96 hours of mechanical ventilation. Joy Parker introduced 2 new JPS employees to us. Stephen Schultz is our VP of Pharmacy Services, and Shailene Mitchell is our Diversion Officer. Stephen Schultz presented a presentation on the Century 7 software, which is the software that monitors pharmaceutical and drug prescriptions to look for diversion that's going on at JPS, which diversion is drugs that are missing that cannot be explained. And so the software looks for drug use that might need to be given a little bit more attention, and it uses some more automated technology to help us catch that diversion. And again, that's called Century 7. Daphne and Renee Garcia then talked about the enterprise risk management and the annual assessment for enterprise risk management, and gave us a timeline for that. And again, that's sort of that's the main purpose of the governance committee is risk assessment and risk management. We have a few procedures that Colin presented for changes. These were to add the new compliance program, the COM 9000 program, to these procedures, so that refers to them, and also the new Code of Conduct and Business Ethics. And those are the COM 8700 information blocking policy. Now that is a new policy that addresses the 21st Century Cures Act. When we think of HIPAA, we think of data security, and when we think of information security in general, we think about data security. But the 21st Century Cures Act goes the opposite direction. It says you're supposed to make your healthcare data available to the patients, and there are some new regulations in place governing how you make that data available and that you not block that data. And so this new policy, COM 8700, basically says, and you have a copy of it in your handout, we're going to follow the regulations of the 21st century. To it, and also the corporate compliance program. And lastly, the LD 9000, the changes to that, if you look through those red lines, that just now adds the Code of Conduct and Business Ethics as part of that policy. And then lastly, Colin was recommending the retirement or the archiving of 4 procedures you'll see listed in your handout, COM 8400, 8401, 5300, and 5301. Those 4 procedures are already now, they're incorporated in the corporate compliance program, and so they were standalone procedures. We don't need them as standalone procedures because they've been incorporated in the COM 9000, the overall corporate compliance program. So he's recommending those for retirement. You have the red lines to the proposed changes. I think you should have them in your packets. If not, I can direct you to the page numbers. And with that, I'll open it up for questions.
We don't have question. No question? Okay, perfect. Thank you, Blake, for your report. Item 10, we have no reports or updates requiring action from the board. Item 11, there are no other matters requiring action or approval. So we'll move to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion for consent?
I'd like to pull an item off consent and seek some legal counsel on it.
Okay. Which item?
A2, please.
A2? Okay. So we will move A2 off of consent, and we'll come back to that momentarily. Do I have a motion for consent for items A1, A3, and B1 through 4?
Move approval.
Second.
Second, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. All right, so we'll go open to A2.
If it's legal advice, then we will do that in
Close.
close.
Okay. Okay. All right, we'll move A2 to close. And with that, we'll move to executive session, closed session.
Amanda, can I say one thing before we do?
Yes.
I just, for those of us that have been around a long time and have seen the work that the foundation does, we reported earlier today that we have 90% staff participation in the foundation. I want to encourage the board to participate in this. This is never about a matter of how much you give. It's a matter of showing support for JPS, and I would hope that our board, with the importance of the foundation work, especially with the transition work that's going on, with all the, the new personnel, the new direction, with Karen's mission that she identified for us during budget, the foundation is going to become a crucially important vehicle for us. And I would just like to, encourage all of the board to participate, and let's get 100% participation.
Thank you, Trent. Yes, that's a very, very good point. As well, I'd love to give a shout out to our JPS Foundation Board that is at 100%. They're very, very excited about the work that's happening and diving deep, and would love to thank you, Trent, again for bringing that up, because it is very important. And if you have any questions about the foundation, Shannon has been doing an excellent job, and as we know, our new ED of the foundation will be in soon, so please get excited about these opportunities, and as excited as we are every
Ralph has already said he'd underwrite anybody's check that doesn't get participate.
We love a good match. We love a good matching donation. We love to call out people, so I enjoy that as much. So thank you so much for that reminder, Trent. Anything else? No. Now we'll move into executive session. Okay. Thank y'all. back from executive session, so I'd like to propose a motion to accept A2 under the consent agenda.
I have a,
Do
sorry,
I have a
is the
second?
floor open for motions? Sorry.
Motion.
He
Gotta have a
said
motion.
motion.
You made a motion?
Yes. Well, no.
No,
Do I
he
have
made
a
a motion.
motion?
Can I get a
Motion, so Reverend Evan had.
Ralph made a motion.
And do I have a second?
Second? No.
Question, discussion, yes.
So the
Did I have a
motion is
second?
to approve it as is. Is that
Yes.
right? So, yeah, I think it should be sent back to the committee, and I'll make that motion depending on how this motion goes.
Yep. Madam Chair, I move to submit an amendment to the motion to return LD 1000 to the Governance Committee to consider splitting it into two policies, one for the board and a second policy for the senior management and leaders of the organized medical staff.
I have first motion already to approve.
I'm doing an amendment to the motion.
You got to vote on the motion.
Yeah, I think you have to vote on the
Yeah,
first
you have
one.
to vote on the motion.
You have to vote on the motion.
We have a motion.
You have to vote on the amendment, then you can vote on the motion.
So where's our Robert's Rules expert?
No, I mean, he's amending the motion,
He
so.
can't amend
person
his
that first did
motion,
it
though.
have to
He
accept
made
it,
the
didn't he?
motion to approve as is.
So we need to vote.
Got
He had a second.
So there's
All
a
in
motion to
favor?
amend.
He can't amend his motion. He's got to make the step different.
We vote on the amendment, then we vote on the motion.
We're voting on
Trent's probably the expert.
But he made the motion, unless he takes away his motion. Yeah,
That's how I was like.
he's already made the motion.
He made the motion. The only way he can, that would amend with it, he'd have to accept it.
He has to
He'd
retract
have
the
to accept
motion. He has to retract the, I watch the court. They do this all the time. I retract my motion.
He's moving to amend the motion. That needs the first vote, and then the vote on the motion, either as amended or not.
But the first person that made the motion have to agree for his amendment, and he didn't agree to it.
I don't think that's right.
Well, I do.
Right.
Doing that a long time.
Robert's
That's the way we
expert.
always did it.
I know, I was
The
like.
motion today is just
The
to
way we
accept
always
8
do
and
it.
9, and so I think that the governance committee could probably go back and do what you're saying. I don't think we have to not vote in 8 and 9
Yes.
in order to do what you're saying, Blake.
So I've got a motion on the floor to accept as is with a second, and we have discussion for it. Well, I'll call for a vote, so yea or nay? Do I have?
So let
all
me
in
clarify
favor?
with discussion, let me clarify. The motion is to approve LD 1000 as is
is.
completely,
Correct.
correct?
Correct.
So that's different than what your understanding is.
And you had a second on that motion.
Well,
All in
I thought
favor, you're gonna be
the
voted
whole
down.
thing was us voting on the addition of 8 and 9. That was my understanding of.
It was a whole policy.
No, it was the whole policy, and so
Okay.
if the policy passes, then we'll move on. If the policy does not pass, then we'll send it back to governance. Okay? We good? Okay, so I did. So I have a motion on the floor, I have a second for the entire, do I have all in favor? Aye. Okay, motion for the, and as is, the policy as is written right now. So yes,
Still in
okay?
With the two additions, underscored additions,
What, there are no
Oh, just
additional
the
additions.
whole-
8 and 9.
There are no additional additions, it was as is.
Yeah, it's just
As a policy,
everything, we're
as-
approving
So 8 and 9
everything
would
on
not be
page
part of the
51 and 52.
Policy, if you pass this.
Are you talking about the revisions that were sent through governance when you say 8 and 9?
Right, because the governance committee's recommendation was to add 8 and 9 to Roman numeral 1. So are we voting on the policy without adding 8 and 9, or with that adding 8 and
So
9?
the governance committee saw the policy as revised. They approved that. It came forward on consent agenda.
Okay.
If you had not pulled it off, then you would have approved the consent agenda, and that's what the entire policy with 8 and 9 would have got approved. So when we pulled it off and they're saying, voting to approve it as presented here, they're saying as it was sent up by governance.
Okay, including 8 and 9.
Includes 8 and
Okay.
9.
We're approving everything on page 51 and 52.
Okay, so we had our yays, do we have any nays?
Nay.
Okay, all right, motion fails. So what we'll go ahead and do is send the policy back to, yes, you got a motion, okay.
I would move to strike Roman numeral And then I'll have another motion after that.
Okay.
Excuse me, big Roman numeral 2 or little?
Big Roman numeral 2.
Strike it from the policy.
Strike it, well, I can do my motion compound, I prefer not to, but my second motion is going to be to send Roman numeral 2 back to governance to address some of the issues that were discussed in executive session.
Is that a separate and distinct?
So I think that is a separate motion. So first, it would be to strike 2 right now.
And if it fails, then you want to go to,
No, and even if it succeeds, I think we send 2 back to governance.
if you strike it, then there's nothing to send back.
Yeah.
So we will then direct governance to address the issues raised in Roman numeral 2 by separate policy.
Can your motion just be to send this back to governance for review of Roman numeral 2?
To me, I think the cleanest way to address some of the issues we discussed would be strike it here. And if it comes back as part of 1,000 or as part of a new policy, that's up to governance. But I think the way to address the issues that we discussed would be that 2-step process. So my motion is to strike Roman numeral 2. My first motion is to strike Roman numeral 2 from LD 1000.
That's the
Strike it
motion.
and place it, or just
No,
strike
just
it?
strike it.
He wants to
After
strike
this
it.
motion, then I'll have a second motion to say, for this board to direct the governance committee to address the issues in Roman numeral 2 and as discussed in closed session, either in this policy or in a new policy.
If we strike it, doesn't
Yeah, then it doesn't come back.
Motion is not out of second,
It did not
No.
get a
Not yet,
second.
it doesn't have a second yet.
so there's no reason to question discussion on that motion.
Motion's
Is there a second?
Yes, sir. My motion would be, I'll have 2. My first motion is to strike Roman numeral 2 from LD 1000.
Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay.
I guess my question is for general counsel as well. You comfortable with the process here?
If we strike this completely, can it be addressed in governance?
No, I mean, we'll strike it.
No, but
That's why discussion.
That's why I asked it.
Right.
Because my feeling
I think you just need to send that.
I think it needs to be
That's absolutely
just
right
go-
what Dr. Holland's saying, because that's exactly the way I look at this. If we're going to make a motion, let's send the whole thing back to governance.
Yeah.
Let's not send part of it back to governance and then keep part of it separate. But let's send it back to governance, bring this thing back in a format that we agreed upon and hopefully consistent with what general counsel was telling us we ought to do. I'm perfectly fine with that, but I'm not okay with separating and trying to figure out whether we did or didn't do it.
Then can we make a motion to just send LD 1000 back to governance?
Do you want to
Well,
make that motion?
we have to vote on this motion.
We
again.
have to vote on this one first, so this,
He didn't get a second.
He didn't get a second.
Oh, he did get a
He did
second.
get a second. He's like-
Then we can
He did do a
okay.
second.
Sorry.
so we'll take a vote.
Amendment to your motion. Will you acknowledge my amendment?
So I think,
Okay, those in favor of
all in
striking.
favor? None,
All in favor?
In favor.
2. and
2. Does not pass. So do I have a secondary motion?
Holland,
Holland.
I make a motion to send the LD 1000 back to the governance committee for revision in total.
Second.
Second. So I've got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
I got those. We're sending it back for revision to do what?
To clarify.
Well, I think
What is the clarification?
That's what they're supposed to tell us. Yeah. That's their job.
Well, there's a couple things that were discussed. Blake mentioned that maybe Board of Managers, senior management, and leaders of the organized medical staff shouldn't be all addressed in one document. Maybe that needs to be separated out because our obligations and duties are different. That's for the governance committee to decide. And the second is I personally think this language is ambiguous, and I think it needs to be made more clear. So those are the 2 things I would like to see the governance committee address.
So is that addressing what your concern is, Tim?
I think largely, yes. I think because in our discussion, and I don't want to veer off into breaching any attorney-client, but in our discussion, it's clear that some of this is vague, that we all don't understand it, and as well as other considerations that Dr. Holland addressed.
I would make just a comment that it's not that we all don't understand it. It's pretty clear, but there
Clear to
there's
you. I mean,
feeling,
like,
there's
see,
feeling
I-
that there's some ambiguity.
No, I don't agree with that, Amanda.
No,
I mean,
ma'am,
Dr.
yeah.
Holland's got a good point.
Yeah.
And if there's ambiguity, then let's get rid of ambiguity. I don't think we can say there is no ambiguity when we have board members sitting here saying that there is.
Right.
So I second Dr. Holland's motion.
Okay, all right. I'm fine with going back to governance with a clear understanding of what we're doing.
Okay.
We got a motion and a second.
Okay. I'm going to vote no, but I'm going to vote no is because my concerns for the clarification that we're asking for. So I'll let it come back because I want the policy to come back as it is, and then to have that language in there, because I guess my concern is, I thought I heard Tim say that he was concerned about the policy in reference to those two cases, the Harvard case and.
Well, so I guess, let me zoom out. And I think, yes, that was part of the legal discussion. But remember, when we go back to the first time that we were in open, the discussion was to approve this entire policy, straight up or down. And it sounds like some of our colleagues had concerns about other aspects of the policy as well, and its applicability to different groups, that I think governance can take this opportunity to address. So if we were asked before to address the entirety of the policy and approve the entirety of the policy, different people had different concerns. And I think to Trent's point, different people found different language ambiguous. All of that can be addressed by governance.
Okay.
And I don't want, Trent, I don't mean speak for you, I don't mean speak for anybody.
No, that's true. I want us to be able to get back something that we all agree that we understand what it is, and if we don't like it, we're going to vote no.
Yeah.
Right.
But at this point, there's a lot of ambiguity, and I think you can't separate the ambiguity from it right now. Daphne, even your position right now is you could do either way. Well, I want to get it where I couldn't do either way. I want to get it where you can say, this is what legal counsel recommends. And then I'll be okay voting, because right now I don't feel like I know what I'm voting.
And I did give a recommendation. We will have a brief discussion after this,
Yeah.
after we close, and I'll
Come through.
get back to that. Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, so I've got a motion from Dr. Holland, a second from Trent to send LD 1000 back to governance for review. All in favor? Aye. Leave all ayes. Any opposed? No. Okay. All right, motion passes. All right, that will go through.
Thank you all.
Thank you. That will conclude.
It's a two-cookie meeting for sure.
I almost said on my cheese.
Please don't run off after she dismisses.
I am closing this. Do I have a motion to close?
So moved.
Second? Okay. We are closed for our board meeting. Thank you so much.
Did he close it? Tell me other organizations are changing. I'm over here